In 2021, a single show dropped on Netflix and completely took over the world. You know the one I'm talking about, the green tracksuits, the pink jumpsuits with those eerie masks, and the deadly children's games. Of course, it's Squid Game. This South Korean drama didn't just become a hit. It became a global phenomenon, smashing viewership records and sparking conversations everywhere. But how did a story about desperate people playing life-or-death games for cash capture the imagination of millions? What's the real story behind this cultural juggernaut? Today we're going deep inside the world of Squid Game, exploring its creation, its hidden meanings, and the reasons it resonated so deeply with a global audience. We'll uncover the director's decade-long struggle to bring his vision to life, dissect the powerful social commentary woven into every frame, and look at the cultural influences that made this series so unique. This isn't just about the games. It's about the story of a story, a tale of creativity, perseverance, and a reflection of our modern world. So grab your dalgona candy carefully and let's dive in. The journey of Squid Game began long before its explosive debut. The creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, first conceived the idea way back in 2008. At the time, he was facing his own financial struggles, spending his days in Korean comic book cafes, reading stories about survival and debt. He imagined a version of these stories set in Korea, using the simple, nostalgic games he played as a child. He wrote a full feature film script, but for over a decade no one would touch it. Studios and investors told him the concept was too grotesque, too unrealistic, and too complex. The idea of people risking their lives in children's games for money seemed too bizarre for mainstream audiences. So the script sat on a shelf, gathering dust for years. Hwang went on to direct other successful films, but the idea for Squid Game never left him. It was a story he felt compelled to tell, a story about the brutal reality of competition in our capitalist society. He saw how the gap between the rich and the poor was widening, and he wanted to create a dark, allegorical fable that explored what happens when people are pushed to the absolute edge by economic desperation. Then, the world changed. The rise of streaming platforms created a space for more unconventional, genre-bending stories. A decade after he first wrote it, the world was finally ready for Squid Game. Netflix saw the potential in Hwang's dark vision and gave him the creative freedom to expand his film script into a 9-episode series. This longer format allowed him to delve deeper into the lives of the characters, to make us truly understand their motivations and their despair. We meet Seong Ai-hun, a gambling addict and divorced father who is so deep in debt that his life is falling apart. We meet Kang Se-byok, a North Korean defector trying to reunite her family, and Cho Sang-woo, a once proud investment banker who made disastrous financial decisions. Each character represents a different facet of modern society, people who, despite their different backgrounds, are all trapped in the same cycle of debt and hopelessness. Their stories are not just backstories. They are the heart of the show. They are what make the stakes feel so incredibly real. Before a single game is even played, we understand why they would risk everything. The prize money isn't just a fortune. It's a chance at redemption, a way out of an impossible situation. This focus on character is what elevates Squid Game from a simple survival thriller to a powerful human drama. One of the most brilliant aspects of Squid Game is its visual design. The aesthetics are a masterclass in contrast. The show uses bright, almost childlike colors and massive, playground-like sets to create a sense of surreal, unsettling nostalgia. Think about that giant, colorful staircase maze. It looks like something out of an M.C. Escher painting mixed with a children's soft play area. But we know this whimsical-looking space is a pathway to death and despair. This visual dissonance is intentional. It constantly reminds us that these are children's games twisted into a horrifying spectacle for the amusement of the wealthy. The green tracksuits worn by the players strip them of their individuality, reducing them to mere numbers. In contrast, the masked guards in their hot pink jumpsuits are anonymous and authoritarian, their faces hidden behind simple geometric shapes, circles, triangles, and squares. These shapes correspond to a strict hierarchy within the system, a theme that runs deep throughout the show. Even the music contributes to this unsettling atmosphere. The score often uses classical, calming pieces like Strauss's The Blue Danube during moments of absolute chaos and violence, creating a chilling and unforgettable psychological effect. Every single design choice is deliberate, designed to make the viewer feel as disoriented and on edge as the players themselves. The games themselves are a stroke of genius. They are based on simple, traditional Korean children's games that many viewers, especially in Korea, would recognize from their own childhoods. Red light, green light, the Dalgona Candy Challenge, Tug of War, and Marbles. These are games of innocence, joy, and friendship. By turning them into life or death struggles, the show corrupts these innocent memories. It forces us to ask a disturbing question. What has happened to our society that even the simplest forms of play have become a brutal competition for survival? Take the marble game, for instance. It's the most emotionally devastating episode for many viewers. The players are told to pair up with the person they trust the most, only to discover they must compete against that very person. One will live and one will die. This episode isn't about physical strength or agility. It's a brutal test of morality, manipulation, and the human spirit. It's in these moments that the show's commentary on cutthroat competition becomes its most powerful. In a system designed to pit everyone against each other, are trust and compassion even possible? Or will survival instincts always win out? The show doesn't offer easy answers, forcing the audience to confront these uncomfortable questions head-on. So why did Squid Game resonate with so many people across different cultures and continents? Because at its core, it speaks to a universal anxiety of the modern age, economic inequality. The feeling of being trapped in a system that's rigged against you, of working harder and harder just to fall further behind, is something people can relate to all over the world. The show's premise, while extreme, is a powerful metaphor for the rat race of modern capitalism. People are reduced to numbers, forced to compete against each other for a shrinking pool of resources, all while the ultra-rich watch for entertainment. The mysterious VIPs who bet on human lives as if they're betting on horse races are a chilling representation of the detached, voyeuristic 1%. They are so disconnected from the suffering they cause that it has all become a game to them. This stark portrayal of class struggle hit a nerve. It tapped into a global sense of injustice and frustration. It didn't matter if you were in Seoul, New York, or London. The feeling that the odds are stacked against the common person is a globally shared experience. Squid Game simply took that feeling and amplified it into a thrilling, terrifying, and unforgettable survival drama. It validated a frustration that millions of people feel every single day. The cultural impact of Squid Game was immediate and massive. Green tracksuits and pink jumpsuits became the world's most popular Halloween costumes. The Dalgona Candy Challenge went viral on TikTok, with millions of people trying and mostly failing to carve out the delicate shapes. The show's actors who were well known in Korea became overnight global superstars. Yoon Ho-yeon, who played Se Bayok, became the most followed Korean actress on Instagram in a matter of weeks. The series sparked a renewed global interest in Korean culture, from its language and food to its film and television industry. It proved that a story, if it's powerful and universal enough, can transcend language and cultural barriers. Squid Game didn't just entertain. It started conversations. It prompted discussions about debt, inequality, and the dark side of human nature in living rooms and on social media around the world. It became a cultural touchstone, a piece of media that defined the year 2021. The success wasn't just a fluke. It was the result of a perfectly timed story that combined thrilling action, deep character work, stunning visuals, and a powerful social message that the world was desperate to hear. It was a perfect storm of creativity and cultural relevance. Looking back, Squid Game is more than just a successful TV show. It's a landmark in global entertainment. It proved that non-English language productions could not only compete with, but also dominate the global stage. It challenged the traditional Hollywood-centric model of media and opened the doors for more diverse stories from around the world to find a massive audience. Director Hwang Dong-hyuk's long and difficult journey to bring his story to the screen is a testament to the power of artistic vision and perseverance. His decade-old script, once rejected as too bizarre, became one of the most watched series in history. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most challenging and unconventional ideas are the ones that can change the world. The story of Squid Game, both on screen and off, is about survival against all odds. It's a dark, thrilling, and thought-provoking look at the world we live in, and its legacy will continue to influence our culture for years to come. With the second season officially on the way, the games are far from over. Thank you so much for watching. What was your favorite game or character from the show? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you next time. The success of Squid Game wasn't just a fluke. It was a masterclass in casting, production design, and storytelling. Let's start with the heart of the show, the characters. Casting was absolutely critical. Each actor didn't just play a part. They became their character, bringing a raw authenticity that made us feel every ounce of their desperation and hope. Take Seong Ji-hun, for example. He's our everyman, a guy drowning in debt, whose journey from a down-on-his-luck gambler to a reluctant hero is the emotional core of the series. Lee Young-jae's performance made us root for him, even when he made questionable choices. Then you have his childhood friend, Cho Sang-woo, the so-called genius from Seoul National University. His polished exterior hides a cold, calculating survival instinct, and Park Hae-soo portrayed this descent into moral ambiguity brilliantly. We watched him, horrified and fascinated, as he did whatever it took to win. And we can't forget Kang Se-byok, the North Korean defector. Young Ho-yeon, in her breakout role, gave us a character who was tough and guarded, but underneath it all, just wanted a better life for her family. Her quiet resilience made her an instant fan favorite. Even the supporting characters were unforgettable. There's the kind-hearted Ali Abdul, whose trust and innocence were tragically exploited. Anupam Tripathi's portrayal was so genuine it broke our hearts. And then there's the tough, unpredictable Jang Deok-soo, played by Hyo Seung-tae, the gangster you love to hate. Oh Il-nam, the old man, provided a strange sense of comfort and wisdom, only to deliver one of the biggest twists in modern television history. Even the masked figures were iconic. The enigmatic front man, with his commanding presence and shadowy backstory, kept us guessing until the very end. The pink-suited guards, anonymous and faceless, became a symbol of the game's oppressive system. This perfect blend of characters created a web of alliances, betrayals, and relationships that felt incredibly real. Each actor had to balance empathy with suspense, making us question who we could trust and what we would do in their shoes. To bring these physically and emotionally demanding roles to life, the actors went through intense preparation. Behind the scenes, it was a whole different game. They underwent rigorous training to convincingly portray the high stakes. This wasn't just about learning lines. It was about embodying the exhaustion, the fear, and the sheer physical toll of the games. Stunt coordinators worked closely with the cast to ensure the action sequences were both thrilling and safe. For the tug-of-war scene, for instance, they used a real tugging machine to create genuine strain on the actors' faces and bodies. The result is a performance that feels visceral and real. You can see the sweat, the grit, and the determination in every frame. Now, let's talk about the games themselves. The genius of Squid Game lies in its use of simple, nostalgic children's games. Red light, green light, the Dalgona Candy Challenge, Tug of War, Marbles, these are games many of us played as kids. But in this world, they become instruments of death. This contrast is what makes the show so disturbing and compelling. It taps into our childhood memories and twists them into something terrifying. The production design was key to making these games feel epic and terrifying. Think about that first game. The massive, colorful playground with a giant, creepy doll. It's a surreal and unsettling image. The vibrant, almost dreamlike sets clash with the brutal reality of the competition, creating a powerful visual metaphor for the show's themes. The maze-like pastel-colored stairwells, inspired by M.C. Escher's artwork, added to the sense of disorientation and entrapment. Every set was meticulously crafted to be both visually stunning and psychologically unnerving. The cinematography played a huge role in building tension. Director Hwang Dong-hyuk and his team used specific camera techniques to immerse the audience. During red light, green light, the quick cuts between the doll's unblinking eye and the terrified faces of the players created a heart-pounding sense of panic. Slow-motion shots were used to emphasize moments of life and death, like a player stumbling or a bullet hitting its mark. Wide shots showed the sheer scale of the games and the insignificance of each individual player, while tight close-ups on their faces revealed every flicker of fear, determination, and despair. The use of dramatic camera angles, like low shots looking up at the guards or high shots looking down on the players, reinforced the power dynamics at play. Sound design was another crucial element. The cheerful, innocent music played during the games created a chilling contrast with the violence on screen. The sound of the ticking clock in the Dalgona Challenge, the creak of the rope in Tug of War, the simple click of marbles, each sound was amplified to heighten the tension and make every moment feel incredibly suspenseful. The silence, too, was used effectively, creating unbearable moments of anticipation right before the chaos erupted. It has this masterful blend of visuals and sound that makes each game feel so immersive and stressful to watch. But Squid Game was more than just a series of deadly contests. The time spent between the games and the massive dormitory was just as important. These scenes allowed the show to explore the psychology of survival. We saw alliances form out of necessity, friendships blossom in the face of death, and betrayals happen when the stakes got too high. The dorm was a microcosm of society, where people were stripped of their identities and forced to confront their true nature. Remember the riot that broke out after the players learned they could eliminate each other? That scene was a terrifying look at how quickly social order can collapse when survival is on the line. It's in these moments that we see the best and worst of humanity. We see characters sharing their food and protecting each other, and we also see them scheming and backstabbing to get ahead. These sequences were vital for character development. They gave us insight into each person's backstory, their motivations, and what they were fighting for. The conversations about family, debt, and regret made these characters more than just game pieces. They became real people we cared about. The strategies they developed were fascinating to watch. Sang-woo's logical approach, Ji-hun's reliance on instinct and empathy, Se-byok's quiet observation, each character's strategy reflected their personality. The marble game, in particular, was a psychological masterpiece. It wasn't about physical strength, but about manipulation, trust, and emotional cruelty. Forcing partners to compete against each other was a devastating twist that pushed every character to their breaking point. That episode was a gut punch, showing that in the world of Squid Game, even the deepest bonds could be sacrificed for survival. From the brilliant casting and intense actor preparation to the iconic production design and masterful use of sound and cinematography, every element of Squid Game was carefully crafted to create an unforgettable experience. It's a show that forces us to look at the dark side of human nature and ask ourselves a chilling question: how far would you go to survive? It's this combination of thrilling action, deep psychological drama, and sharp social commentary that turned it into a global phenomenon. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the making of Squid Game, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments which game was the most intense for you. See you next time.